So at Protege, we have a number of B2B websites, primarily Protege.com, where we are using them as sales tools to interest our B2B customers and educate our B2B customers on how we do business and how they can do business with us. As part of that, it's not really focused on, those sites are really not focused on our core business of the consumer side and don't have as much functionality technically as the consumer side. So we used Limestone in order to build those sites, maintain those sites. It was really great because to keep my primary developers focused on our consumer business and not have to worry about assigning resources to focus on the B2B really made a huge difference in our overall ability to continue to maintain and push out content to those B2B sites without having to disrupt our consumer brands. So when we first thought about outsourcing this part of the business, I, as a CTO, was fairly concerned that the management part would be difficult and they wouldn't be able to meet our specific needs and they wouldn't understand our company culture and how these kinds of things should work. And when Limestone came with the idea that they would put in a relationship manager and make sure everything was working just fine, they did a great job in convincing me that this was really the right way to do it. And as time went on, it was almost zero involvement from me because they were managing everything and just a check-in once in a while to make sure everything was going fine. So what I noticed with Limestone versus other vendors that I've used in the past is that most of the time with other vendors, they're not very proactive, and we need to remind them that, hey, these sites need to be updated with both security patches and things like that. We have to be on top of it. In this case, Limestone was on top of it, and they kept everything up to date. Obviously, being proactive matters in the sense that if we expect it to be fully managed, we mean fully managed, and Limestone was able to provide that.
So as an engineering manager, before working with Limestone, I would spend an enormous amount of effort, time, and really energy of screening many candidates before actually finding the appropriate one. Once I started working with Limestone, we would get not only the CV, which is of course very typical, but we'd also get a very clear assessment by Limestone on the specific details of the specific knowledge of the developer in that tech stack. Not only that, we also got a video recording of the interview process that Limestone has done. That enabled us to really hone in on quickly screen through the candidates and find the one that's the best fit and essentially really the best candidates out there. Being able to go through that video on my own leisure, really at my own pace, scrolling back sometimes to double check that of what the candidate responded in some specific stuff. And that really enabled that once I sat down in the interview seat, first time meeting that candidate, I felt like I had a very good understanding really where that candidate comes from, his past knowledge, and I was able to hone in on the parts that I perhaps wasn't necessarily certain he had proper experience in, jumping in there, double checking that's a solid candidate.
So we were trying to spin up a new Java team, and while our internal recruiters were trying to sort through all the candidates and people they had reached out to and filter the ones that they wanted us to meet, by the time they had gotten through that list and presented us with some, Limestone had already presented two very strong candidates that we decided to move on with, and we've been very happy with. They were productive almost immediately, and they got their environment set up, and once that was done, every day they were producing as much as any internal resource.